I'll be your moderator this morning. We'll be meeting with the Civilian Community Police Hearing Board, Mayor Sano, Commissioner Clapwood, Judge Roderick Ireland, and a number of others to talk about community concerns as it pertains to some of the ongoing issues around police, the hearing board, and other issues. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Mayor Sano after I tell you the rules, the house rules. We're asking everyone to please, as you come on, to express your concerns or ask your questions, that we keep it respectful, that we keep all questions and comments limited to 1 minute. We want everyone to feel completely comfortable and feel like they are an active part of this particular conversation. This is a community conversation, so it's open to anyone who has a question. If you're watching live and you have a comment, if you'd like to comment on Facebook or on Focus Springfield's page, please feel free to do so. All appropriate comments and questions will be shared with the group today. With that, I will turn it over to Mayor Dominic Sano.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Daryl. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. I'm sorry that we have to do this with COVID-19 via Zoom. I like more face-to-face and group meetings, but soon, once we defeat this COVID-19, we'll be able to meet in a group or once together, all together again. I really want to thank Judge, retired Chief Justice of the Massachusetts State Supreme Court, Judge Roderick Ireland. His wisdom, advice, direction has been invaluable to me. These sessions will continue our dialogue with our community, with Commissioner Clapwood and I, on continuing to enhance police and community relationships, and also continuing to implement reforms as we work with the DOJ moving forward. A number of reforms Commissioner Clapwood has already moved forward on, but there's much more work to be done. And the community, we need to hear you. We want to listen to you. We want to get your input. We're going to just have some brief comments before we turn it over to our community to listen to you, because you're invaluable. It's a partnership as we continue to move the city of Springfield forward. With that, let me just introduce the individuals that are here. Obviously, Commissioner Clapwood is here. My Chief Diversity and Inclusion Officer, Attorney Talia G., who will be speaking about the function of the Civilian Community Police Hearing Board as we continue to work with our City Council to get an ordinance for it and codify it and get subpoena powers for that board as a checks and balance. D. Moss, Daryl Moss from my office, Billy Baker, my Communications Director, City Solicitor Ed Pacula is also here. My Dr. Anthony Fauci, Helen Colton Harris is here, my Chief of Staff, Tom Ash, and board members that are here from the Civilian Community Police Hearing Board. Our chair, Attorney Ernesto Castillo, sends his regrets. He's at a family function, but we do have Robert C. Jackson, who is private businessman with security business. Kim Weir, I just appointed her. She's retired from corrections. Dr. Gary Birdie, who's criminal justice professor, chair at Springfield College. Paul Faniff, owner of Faniff St. Pierre Funeral Home. And we have Al Tranghese, who is retired HR and labor from American Saw. We also have Linda Karen, who is on. She's a private property management. And we also retired Sergeant Joe Griff, and also Pastor Gail Hill, who's retired from the Springfield Police Department. She's a little bit under the weather. Gail, we hope you feel better soon. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Judge Ireland for some opening remarks. And again, I cannot thank him enough for what he's been able to do to help guide me and my team to be better and responsive to our community, to have the best police department, and continue to work with U.S. Attorney Andrew Lelling and DOJ report moving forward. So without further ado, His Honor, Judge Ireland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. I'm pleased to join with you today for this public meeting to discuss police reform in Springfield. I'm hopeful that we can begin a conversation about how to make improvements and changes so that our police department is improved and so that our city can begin to heal. Now, some of you may know me and my family. I grew up on Terrence Street in the Old Hill neighborhood. My parents and grandparents before them lived there for generations. Others of you may know my name because it's on the courthouse here in Springfield. But for those of you who don't know me, I just want to say that I'm a straight shooter. I call things the way I see them, and I don't play games. I tell you that because the mayor has asked me to advise him on reforming the police department. And our agreement is that I will tell him the good, the bad, and the ugly. I am not in this for window dressing. I am in this to help the city that I love move forward. So with that understanding, I want to encourage all of you who are with us today to communicate with us so that we can understand your thoughts and your feelings about police reform. The city is not claiming that everything is great and now you can go about your business. It is asking for your input so that we can go forward together. So please don't hold back. Tell it like it is, because we want to hear your thoughts on what changes you think need to be done. We are here to listen and to learn. In my view, this is not an us against them situation. We are all in this together with the same goal of making changes to improve the police department. This comes after a number of cases in which certain members of the police department engaged in misconduct that was wrong, illegal, hurtful, and conduct that was a violation of the law and the Constitution. So we want to work together with all of the stakeholders in the city, starting with you, the community, but also including the business sector, the elected officials, the churches, the many community organizations, and the police themselves. And let me just say that we know that the large majority of the police officers are good and decent people who want the best for the city of Springfield. And they know that the few bad apples reflect on all of them, and they want change for the better as much as everyone else. I will conclude my remarks today by cautioning that reform is a process. It is not done in one fell swoop with a snap of the fingers. It takes time. But we have begun the process and already have made a number of changes that are positive improvements. We are far from finished, but we are moving in the right direction, and with your help, we will get there. So today, I implore everyone who's listening and looking at this program to participate. It's easy to sit back and criticize, but I'm asking you to be a vocal part of this because we need your input. We want to hear from you. Tell us your thoughts on how we can make the Springfield Police Department better. Tell us your concerns. And with that, I will stop. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge, very much. Now I'll turn it over to Police Commissioner Cheryl Clapton for a few words, and then we'll go to Paul Fayette who'll say something on the Community Police Hearing Board, and Alicea G on some of the functions. Then we're going to open it up to our public and look forward to hearing him. Commissioner Clapton.
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Judge Ireland. And thank you, everybody, for participating this morning. We welcome it. And I'm going to repeat many of the comments that I have been making all week, all year, and for the last year and a half since I took over this role. We understand the problems, and since February of 2019, we have been trying to move in the right direction to gain both the confidence of the citizens of Springfield and the women and men who work for me back. Because as the judge said, there was nothing more discouraging about some of those incidents that happened it couldn't be any worse to the morale and to the feelings of the women and men who do the job there at the Springfield Police Department every day and do it correctly. So we understand that. And I had said before, I'll say it again, it is definitely a work in progress. You don't turn over a large department in the way we do things with 511 people, sworn officers, quickly. It takes time, and I think we have gone quite a ways, and we are going in the right directions. A lot of incidents brought up by the DOJ, we've looked at, we've corrected those that we feel we have. At this point in time, we know we need the citizens' support to move on and to go forward. We've had consultants come in. I've taken their advice. I've moved forward with a lot of their recommendations and programs. Policies and procedures are being updated as we speak. We're striving for certification for the police department. That'll bring us a long way up the road. Body-worn cameras are now in effect. There's over 350 officers with them. By the end of the year, all 511 of us will have a body-worn camera activated. They have already come into play. There is a new policy, a strict guideline and policy for the use of the body-worn cameras. We have revamped the IIU. We've looked at the way we select personnel for specialized units. I'm working with both unions, and I want to thank both unions, the IBPO and Joe Gentile and the Springfield Police Supervisors Association, Captain Brian Keenan, for their cooperation. Without them, this would be much more difficult, and they have been very cooperative with me in moving forward. The Supervisors Association have extended the timeline for bringing a complaint against the supervisor from 90 to 120 days. It was recommended. It's much appreciated. They have also agreed to an assessment center, which will help me get the best supervisors out on the street and inside 130 that I can possibly get. I am looking to more training and new training. We are under the guidelines of MPTC right now, so our curriculum is guided by the state, but I do have input in that guideline. I look forward to that. I look forward to a new program that we're looking at to further educate our supervisors and how to hold people accountable and how to discipline. I look so forward to working with the CPHB, and I look forward to seeing their recommendations. So far, I have met or exceeded their recommendations, but they have been very helpful and very insightful on a lot of the cases. I also look forward to the day when I can come out and not have a mask and meet people in person again. I hope it comes soon. That's kind of set us back a little bit. We did have some good meetings with the community. I did enjoy going to the beat management. I enjoyed going to the C3 events. So hopefully that's coming sooner rather than later when I can get back out there and talk to everybody and get your ideas. And I look forward to moving the police department better with the help of you, the community, and the women and men there at the police department, so that we have the best we can possibly have. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Commissioner. I want to thank Focus Springfield, putting us together, and my staff, especially D. Moss, on this technology meeting via Zoom. I'm going to just turn it over to Commissioner Paul Faniff of our Civilian Police Community Hearing Board. He'll just say a few words before we turn it over to Talia, Attorney Talia G, to give a little minor thing on Civilian Committee Police Hearing Board. Paul, take a few words.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor and Commissioner Clapprood. Thank you for your presence here this morning and for scheduling this meeting. I've been asked to say a few words for the Community Police Hearing Board, and thank you, Judge Ireland, for your help on this. Also, I have to comment to you, the good, the bad, the ugly. We see it all. We see it all. We have a very diverse board here in Springfield. I think all of us are committed to the citizens of Springfield. This is what we have been appointed for by the mayor. And we all have a vested interest in the city of Springfield. We all love Springfield. I wasn't born here in Springfield. I grew up in Ware, but I've been in Springfield now 41 years as a business owner here. We have some really good members. We have some Dr. Birdie from the college who has a PhD, and I think we are definitely committed to serve the citizens of Springfield. Every complaint that you have, it gets looked at. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. If we have a question, we have a problem, we bring it up and we all vote as a board here. So thank you very much for your presence here this morning, everyone that's online, and thank you to the mayor and Commissioner Clapper, Judge Ireland, for your presence here this morning.
Thank you, Commissioner Phantom. We'll now close with Chief Diversity Officer, Inclusion Officer, Attorney Talia G, just a brief overview of the Civilian Community Police Board, and then we're going to open up the rest of the time to you, our public, in partnership. Talia?
Good morning, and thank you, Mr. Mayor, for allowing me a minute or two to just talk about the Community Police Hearing Board. As the mayor mentioned a few weeks ago, I have been acting as the attorney to the Community Police Hearing Board for probably the last month or two. As Mr. Phantom just stated, it's a very committed board. It is made up of 9 community members who are volunteers. They dedicate their time and effort, and they do take these complaints very seriously in the review of the complaints as well as when they have hearings. As Mr. Phantom indicated, it is a diverse board, and so they ask some very specific and pointed questions that I think is representative of what the community would want to see. I'll just throw out one example. There was a hearing this past week that started at 4 o'clock, and the members, I think we were done at maybe 7:30. And so they're volunteering their time and doing all of this. But in that hearing, they got into some very heated debates and questions about things like racial profiling, about things like policies, and about how officers should be treating members of the community when members are requesting certain things and when members are asking for specific help. And so I just throw out those few examples to say that this is truly a committed board. I'm happy to be working with them. I'm happy to be working with Commissioner Clapper on improving some of the functions of the board, on providing the board some training opportunities so that the board can be as equipped as possible while they are reviewing these complaints against officers and while they're considering the concerns of the community. For those that are not familiar with the board hears complaints that are filed by members of the community against officers. And so when the members are reviewing these complaints, as I mentioned, they're taking them very seriously. They are looking at them from all angles. They are asking questions, and they are really taking this matter very seriously. So again, it's as Justice Ireland indicated, it is an evolutionary process. It is not something that is going to change today. We are always continuing to change the process, and like I mentioned before, I'm looking forward to working with Commissioner Clapper, her staff, and the board, and just improving the process and making it better. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney G. Daryl, we'll now open it up to the public. Please, your input, your constructive criticism is invaluable to us, and it's a partnership.
So at this time, we're going to open this part of the process up to the community. Let you ask your questions. If you have comments, please share. Please keep all questions and comments to about a minute. Any inappropriate comments or commenters or questions will cause you to be removed from this broadcast. So we're going to start with Jose Adastra.
Hello, Mr. Adastra.
Sir, can you hear us? You're muted.
You're muted. Mr. Adastras? Thank you.
Hi, can you hear me?
That's why you're muted. Okay.
Yeah. Hi, good health to you, and thank you for your time. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, we have a minute, so I'm just gonna get into it. I'm bringing a wide variety of feed. Oh, is there like a connection? Hold on.
You're on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had the stream open in the background.
You're on.
Okay, so I'm bringing a wide variety of feedback, including some from police officers. I'm an abolitionist. I'm mainly representing the houseless community and families of the incarcerated. So things that could happen immediately that could really help everyone is you could locally ban no-knock warrants. You could do that. And you could establish a housing and harm reduction committee with community organizers to deal with the housing crisis that we're seeing. And that would just stop a bunch of the need for police officers to actually have to repeatedly expose themselves to COVID and expose the houseless to COVID. They don't like being out there either repeatedly. They can't always wear their masks. And there's a mental health crisis and a housing crisis. If you work with the people on the street who the houseless community trusts, then you have a much better chance of getting them in a house and providing them with human connection so that we can attain a path to recovery. We have a bunch of great experts around here that could help with that. And what we would love, some of our families, is to see increased transparency in our local correctional facilities. We just want to know what's going on, because some letters don't get through sometimes. And then you have a lack of communication. You don't know if someone needs commissary, and we just want to send them enough money and make sure that they're healthy and not being abused. So increase transparency in the correctional facility, because there's lots of people that are going to send them money if they need it. We just have to, we want to be able to reach out to more people because we have the charity to donate to whatever they need.
Thank you.
And
Mr. Dastra,
yeah.
that would be your 1 minute.
Can I say one quick last thing?
Really quickly, yes.
So similar to how a parent is responsible for their children, the commissioner is responsible for the conduct of the police. And if my kids killed someone, then you would come here and arrest me. And I think that no matter how well-meaning you are, I think it would be more respectful to resign and to start with someone new. God bless you and good health to all of you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, I'm coming. And next up, we have John Thompson.
We are putting in mental health people. Mr. Thompson? Well, on the mental health, we just put together a fund with mental health establishments that when police get the first call, if it's a mental health, a drug addiction, homelessness, prostitution, other things, that they would respond to help out our police department if it's a non-criminal activity, just as a side note. Thank you. Mr. Thompson?
Mr. Thompson, if you can hear us, I need you to unmute.
First call to mental health, drug addiction, homelessness, prostitution, other things, that they would respond.
Mr. Thompson, can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, I need you to turn down your the broadcast in the background, and then you have 1 minute. Mr. Thompson.
No, this is Linda Thompson.
Oh, Linda Thompson. Okay.
How are you, Attorney Thompson?
Hi. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. I've just, I had trouble sort of getting into this. I can hear you. I just have two things going. Okay. I'm good. I just want to say that I've listened to.
Attorney Thompson?
Yeah.
Can you turn the volume down on your speaker in the background? You're getting.
Yeah, I'm doing my best. I'm not a very savvy person when it comes to electronics.
Okay.
All right. I just wanted to say that I'd like to hear a lot more specifics from this group. I've heard a lot of cheering for Springfield. I've lived in Springfield since 1978. I'm not hearing a lot of specifics about what's been accomplished, like from Commissioner Clapprood, who I have known for many, many years. And I like to hear, instead of a generalized discussion of, I've talked to this person, and this person, the result of talking to this person, and this person. So that's what I'm not hearing. I represent a person who has got a large judgment against the Springfield police. No one has even talked to him in over a year about that, or his lawyers. And that's Mr. Shand. So I don't get any basic specifics about what's going on, and that's what I'd like to hear.
I'm gonna, Solicitor Pakula, that's a legal case that's ongoing right now. And as far as what has been accomplished, which much more to be done, Attorney Thompson, we can send you all that information. We had that press conference, I believe, last Thursday. Everything is online of some of the reforms and initiatives that we've already put forth. Much more to be done. And we'll be more than happy. It is online if you'd like to see that, but if Ed could just address that quickly, this is an ongoing case right now.
Good morning, Attorney Thompson. Ed Pakula here.
Recognize you, Ed.
And it's good to hear from you. I'm sure you know that Judge Young just recently decided post-trial motions last week. And I can tell you that I don't know if you've been informed, but we've been in touch with we've been discussing with the lawyers of White and Case down in New York, who have been handling this. And we have been talking with Judge King, who's settlement counsel for the First Circuit. And we were, based on our discussions, we've set up a mediation date that is coming up in the next several weeks. And I hope you will be participating in that along with your co-counsel. But those discussions have been ongoing as we've continued sort of the post-judgment litigation, and we continue to try to sort out the issues.
Thank you, Solicitor Pakula. Thank you, Attorney Thompson. It's my fault that I started to engage. I'm going to try to keep my mouth shut and really let's listen to what the public has to say for time, as we did before. If we have to address, if we can't address them, then we will. If not, as we did before, Attorney G, and there we got back to everybody with their information. So thank you, Attorney Thompson. Next.
Yep. Okay, next up we have Yolanda Cancel.
How are you, Yolanda?
Disconnected. Yolanda, can you hear us?
Ms. Cancel, Yolanda?
Okay, Yolanda? Yep. Yolanda, you're on.
Oh, hi, everyone. Thank you for doing this. I see that the city of Springfield is doing their best for this police and community relations. And I have one, I think, a slight comment as to, I know that the police commissioner and everyone is doing their best for the police and community relations. I think, what is it that's being done to make sure that your officers are also following a line, right down to your patrolmen, that they're following everything that you're asking them to do, and how are you holding them accountable to making sure of this? You know, I watch and I see that everything that is going on in the city to make it so it's possible for police and community relations is going on. But I feel that sometimes certain officers are not getting this message all the way down to the patrolmen. I still see a lot of chip on the shoulders and a lot of aggression And I'm hoping that they don't, that they're not ignoring what the police commissioner and the community is asking for when it comes to police and community relations. But I thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank you, Cheryl Clapperwood. I thank you, Darrell, and I thank all of you for this, because this is what's going to make us stronger in Springfield by addressing these issues openly and publicly and making sure that we're all being heard and listened to. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Yolanda.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, Darrell.
Yep, I have to remove this. Okay, next, Gianna Allentuck. And there's a slight delay because it's gonna take about 20 seconds for them to connect, just so everyone understands. Okay.
Gianna?
Good morning, Gianna Allentuck.
So sorry, Darrell and everyone. I didn't realize I was let in. I'm gonna pass and just listen to the others. Sorry about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Gianna.
Oh, okay. She's gonna, let's gotta remove her. School committee member Latonia Naylor is joining us now.
Hi, Latonia.
Hello,
Hi, Latonia. How are you?
I'm good, and yourself?
Good, good.
Okay, you're live.
Thank you. So I guess just for clarification, because I don't want to waste your time, what exactly are you asking? I've been watching different people make comments. I don't know if it is that you're addressing concerns that people have, or are there questions that we have that you're looking for us to ask?
Your input, Latonia.
Okay, so I made a small list of some things that I'm concerned about. And I think I've mentioned this to probably most of you in some capacity. And one of them is the issue of folks that are being accused of these violent crimes, being connected to many murders. Particularly, there's 3 people that I'm thinking of, and I won't say their names right now, but I'm trying to wrap my mind around how people can be accused of murdering 1, 2, 3, 4 people, or violently attacking people, and then be arrested and be back on the street. And I know that is not only a policing issue, that's absolutely something that goes into the DA's office and our criminal justice system. But I think it's important that we have more transparency in what is that process for the public, because people are afraid oftentimes to admit if they know things about folks, or to be a witness, because they are afraid that these people will just be back out in the streets and that their lives will be in danger, or their children's lives will be in danger. So if we are in fact going to do something to really combat these repeat offenders, then we have to find a way to make people feel safe. And that is not a way that people are going to feel safe. They know that this person just got accused of something and arrested, and now they're back out in the street because they made bail. And the bail wasn't that high, by the way. So that is something I want to say just as observation. I unfortunately have lived in a community where it's been a lot of gun violence lately, and even the publicity of it has been downplayed a lot, and people in our community know about it, but people outside of our communities are not very much aware. So I think that people don't really realize that even though overall the crime is better in our city, that in some neighborhoods it's still continuing to worsen, and people are fearful. And we need to change that. People are afraid they're not going to respond, or they're not going to think clearly. So I think us coming together with some type of educational programming or awareness to really help folks understand, what are their options and what ways can they disclose information in a safe way. I know we had text a tip at one point. I don't know if that's still working. Haven't heard anything about it. If we don't still have it, then I think we need something similar so folks can submit anonymous tips and information, particularly in the schools where there's a lot of gang members in the schools that people are afraid, again, to share what their experiences are. So we have to have a way that folks are able to disclose that information to us so that you all can stay ahead of the game and we're not chasing after people that have murdered people, but we're finding people before they had a chance to actually commit the crimes. The other thing of it is having, yeah.
Give everyone 2 minutes. I just need you to kind of, if you can wrap it up.
You should have told me 2 minutes at the beginning. No, but I think that's the consensus of it. And I guess the last piece of it is just when there is a complaint filed, that we definitely need to have an easier process than pen and paper or electronic submission. That's like you email. We need to have something go into a database that people know has been submitted and that they get a ticket number or something that they can then follow up on if there are still issues or questions or complaints. And that's it.
Just to let you know, text a tip is still on. I always carry cards with me. Text SOLVE, SOLVE, plus message to 274-637 on your cell phone.
Okay. Thank you. And we definitely need to get that out more. I know that they did a good job a few years ago of promoting it, but I haven't heard about it as much in recent years. So thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for allowing me to have input.
Thanks.
Next up is Rosemary Tracy Woods. Ms. Woods?
Ms. Woods, Miss Arts and Culture herself.
Rosemary Tracy Woods, you are on right now? You're live?
Rosemary, have to unmute. Might be at the line.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, the Minister of Arts and Culture.
Oh, I don't know about all of that. Good morning. I just had a few questions.
Turn your speaker down in the background, please.
I don't have a speaker.
Okay.
How are you? I'm fine.
Good morning, the Minister of Arts and Culture.
Oh, I don't
Ms.
know about
Woods,
all of
you're
that.
getting feedback from the broadcast.
I just had a few questions.
Turn your speaker down in the background, please.
I don't have a speaker.
Ms. Woods, if you can hear me, close out the YouTube video. Ms. Woods?
Yes.
Feedback from the broadcast.
I don't know what's going on because I don't have a speaker.
Pause your broadcast. Pause the broadcast. You're watching it at the same time. If you can hear me, pause the broadcast from YouTube. Ms. Woods, if you can hear me, close out the YouTube video.
Okay. Yes. I don't know what's going on because I don't have a speaker.
I'm gonna move right now.
Okay, we'll get back.
Okay. Tiffany Alicea is next. You have to unmute.
Miss Alicea? Tiffany?
Tiffany,
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Good morning.
you have 2 minutes, Miss Alicea. Thank you.
Okay, so I just want to set the tone that my intention are for the questions to be answered, and then I will finish with commentary. Please forgive my speed because you only gave 2 minutes. So first and foremost, I just want to set the tone that I'm not going to be congratulating anybody because we're in a serious situation. And I hope we can respectfully incorporate that with the rest of the conversation. There has been 4 recommendations from the Department of Justice and the Massachusetts Attorney General Office. And my concern is that they're not going to be completed to the fullest extent that they can be. One, because at the last updated meeting, Commissioner Clapper specifically said that she's only incorporating some of the recommendations. And when it came to the policies in terms of the use of excessive force and that training, she said that because Massachusetts State doesn't have a training and policy right now, she can't go rogue, even though her police officers have gone rogue constantly, which is why this report is here. So I just want to update with both quantitative and qualitative evidence that everything in the DOJ report is actually being completed. And we need a lot more transparency with specifics, just like Attorney Linda said. Secondly, Attorney Gee and Commissioner Harris have a phenomenal job ahead of them. And I'm just really concerned that they don't have the support and resources and funding necessary to complete that job. I know that $125,000 were cut from the budget by city councilors and moved from the police department to the Office of Racial Equity. But with the laundry list of things that this office is trying to accomplish, having 1 coordinator and 2 outreach workers is just not enough to really address a systemic issue. There needs a lot more manpower and a lot more funding. So my question is, where's that coming from? And in regards to the long hours that the CPHB board is putting in, it is a great thing, but we also need to know the specific trainings because the DOJ clearly states that they are currently inadequate and incapable of performing their duties. And I'm so glad that they have jumped on it, but we need more understanding of how this is going. In terms of the IIU being revamped, that's great, but we need to know the specifics. Revamped isn't really giving us quantitative evidence that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And also, we need to understand that it's about healing as well. So they went through over 100,000 different documents saying that the complaints weren't taken care of, that they weren't investigated. These people that suffered this injustice by the IIU and the department in general are still living in Springfield and they still deserve justice. What are you guys going to do to heal that part of us in terms of, okay, I'm almost done. Just one more thing.
You're at the 2-minute mark.
Thank you very much.
Other people want to wait. Can I just say one more thing, please?
Thank you very much, Tiffany.
Okay, City Councilor Tracy Whitfield. City Councilor Tracy Whitfield is next.
May I just say I would have loved to hear her last point. She's almost there. Maybe we can accommodate her. Thank you.
You're welcome. Councilor Whitfield? You on mute? Yes.
Councilor Whitfield?
You're back on mute, Councilor Whitfield.
Tracy?
Am I to speak or?
Yeah.
Wait, okay. So I'm here with specific questions. Can you hear me? I'm unmuted.
Yeah, no,
we can hear you.
We can hear you.
Okay. What? Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hold on one second, guys. My question is for the CPHB board. I wanted to know, it's my understanding that you do not set your own meetings, that your meetings are scheduled by the administration. Is that correct? And if so, why is that the case?
I'm not sure what you mean. So
So let me clarify before you answer. From my understanding, the CPHB, the Community Police Hearing Board meetings that they have are not scheduled by the actual members of the board, but set by someone in the administration. And I don't know who that person is in the administration. And I would like to get an understanding as to why that is the case.
Sure. So the CPHB meets for 3 reasons. One is either a review of a complaint to decide if it's going to have a hearing or not. The second is for an actual hearing. And then the third reason is for a training or for some other sort of meeting purpose. And so the internal investigation unit communicates with the CPHB to schedule those review hearings or those hearings. And then the last training session, again, I've only been on for a month or a month and a half. The last training session, I worked with them to schedule that.
So from what I understand, the meetings that are scheduled are not scheduled when all of the members are always available, and not saying that they always will be available, but it's known that some members will not be available and the meetings are scheduled anyway. And I wanted to know, why wouldn't the CPHB schedule their own meetings? Not for trainings. I understand that that has to go on a different schedule, but why wouldn't they schedule their own meetings for reviews of cases and things like that? So you don't have to answer that now. You can get back to me with that. And also I wanted to know, how is the information delivered to them? From my understanding, the cases and the information that's given to the CPHB is different. And so there may be a thick folder for one officer, and then for another officer, there's very limited information, and they don't have all the information that they need to give a fair and accurate assessment of the issue. And I wanted to know how they are delivering information, why some cases will get photos and videos and some cases will not, if they're available.
Okay.
If they're available.
Thank you,
Okay.
Council Woodfield.
Thank you,
Chris.
Counselor. Do you want to respond to that now? And let everyone know? Okay.
No.
Yeah, she had. No, it's not. Archbishop Timothy Paul Bayman is next. And he's connecting.
Archbishop,
How are you?
good, how are you?
Wonderful. Let me just say this from a spiritual perspective, that I believe that what you're attempting to do with the people you've assembled together, especially your team and Judge Ireland, that it begins a process of healing, and we can address these issues. I don't think this is the time for us to be divided or continue to promote division in our community. I think we have capable people that can sit at the table from a mature perspective and try to address these issues, as well as ensure that these areas that the Department of Justice has highlighted can be addressed. I think we miss the strength of the clergy that has been really, really, really silent in these matters. And I'm not talking about just any one particular clergy, but even in the Black and Brown neighborhood, the clergy are so in touch with their people. And I want to make sure that we have a voice. And so I wanted to commend you, Mayor. I'm not one of those that's going to fight for a reason of division. I'm going to fight for unity in our city. This is the time. And your team is to make an attempt. That's why we signed on. And I'm committed to ensuring that we can come to a point of unity. Even with the commissioner, I'm not advocating her resigning. I'm advocating for her to finish the job that she was hired to do. And we can ensure that if she can't do it, then we can push for other alternative measures. But I believe she can do it. And I think we can all agree. So thank you for your time. Continue to do the work. I want to sit at the table. I was on this committee some years ago. I went around the city doing police civilian review boards for a continued support for a board that is not just a review board, but a board that had some teeth. I think we're making that step. I still would like to see us have a board that's chosen by the people, but we'll get there and we'll keep pushing. But I think you're doing a good job. Let's continue to go forward.
Thank you, Bishop.
Next, we have Charlie Knight.
Mr. Knight?
Connecting. Let's slow things down. We apologize for the delay. It's still connecting. Takes a little bit longer for some folks, so please be patient with us.
Mr. Knight? Charlie?
It's coming slowly but surely. Mr. Knight, if you can hear us.
Mr. Knight? Do you want to move on and get that?
Yeah, we'll have to come back.
Oh, please. We're gonna have to come back to you, Mr. Knight.
Yeah, he's not connecting for him. Okay, it says Alicea. Alicea, you are up next. You are live once you connect. It's really slow.
Right. You want to go to the next one? We'll have to come back to you, Alicea.
We have Denise Jordan.
Hey, Denise.
Okay, connection is very slow.
Hello.
Yes,
Denise,
Ms. Jordan, you're live.
Hi, I would like to speak about an incident that took place Wednesday evening involving my son in Springfield Police. He was being dropped off by a friend on Girard Avenue. Right before he got out of the car, he pulled up I believe it was a basketball game that was taking place that evening. He pulled that up on his phone for them to watch. Some of the clipping, he noticed a cruiser drive by. A minute or two later, cruiser comes back, guns drawn, forcing him out of the car, saying that there was a gun call and they fit the description.
I believe that is being addressed. Okay. At least I believe that is being addressed, and there has been contact with the family also. Am I correct on that, Commissioner?
Excuse me, I can't hear you.
You have to go no closer.
Just briefly, I know it's only.
Alicia, I'm aware of that already, and we have been pulling body cameras. We have the call for service that started that incident. I believe I had a deputy and others look at that video. We're putting it together. We'll contact you. We'd like to have you and maybe Attorney G come watch that and review that case.
Can you hear us?
No, I can't. It's breaking up.
Okay,
It's under investigation. We'll
Yeah,
contact
if you can hear me, they do, they are fully aware of that particular case. They have everything and it's under investigation at this time.
Perfect. And about how long would that take?
We'll let her know early next week.
And we're gonna have her see the body worn camera too.
Right.
We want
If you can hear us, they're gonna contact you early next week and you'll also be allotted an opportunity to view the body worn camera footage as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Alicia.
Alicea.
Alicea. My apologies.
Thank you.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Okay. he's still here.
Yeah, I followed up with her also. I know the commissioner.
When released, George.
Denise.
She got out.
Cut off. She didn't like company, huh?
Yes.
Miss Ellen, if you can hear us, you are on.
Judy?
Hey, Judy?
I think it's Judy.
You're muted.
You're muted.
You're muted, Judy. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
Hi, how's everybody?
How are you?
Good, thank you. I want to address two things. One, I know the 4 DOJ remedies. We have 1, enhance force reporting and review procedures. 2, adopt new use of force training. 3, review and revise IIU policies and training. And 4, increase accountability and mechanisms. And I would like to say, as a comment, that a couple of years ago, the city of Springfield put out an RFP for a unit or department or government to review the IIU policies and also our certification with the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission. And the scope of the MPAC certification, we wanted services to review our current practices and compare it to the standards. These standards are in line with what everyone is requesting and with what the city is doing. When I read and hear that the agency cannot police its agency, we are not. We have the Police Executive Research Forum who has come in, they have reviewed our IIU policies, they have actually reviewed all of the agency's policies and procedures, and we are in the process. We have been for the mayor and the city council has requested that the police department pursue certification through MPAC. We have been doing that since last year, 2019, and we are on track with all of these different new policies and training. So I just wanted to let the community know that the police department is really moving forward in that regard. I also had a question. I wanted to know exactly what was the racial equity department under the Health and Human Services doing. What is exactly their goal and accomplishments, and how would that work with the police department? Thank you.
We will follow up with that, Judy. Okay. Thank you.
Next up, we have Jay Griffin. He's joining us.
Mayor, I'll send you the goals and objectives and all of that. I really don't need to.
Okay. Hey, Jay, Commissioner Griffin.
Hi, Mr. Griffin, can you hear us?
Hello. You're on, Commissioner Griffin.
Okay. I find that these are hard times.
Hey, Jay.
Hello. These are hard times. But
Mr. Griffin, can you hear us?
well, yes,
You're on, Commissioner.
but can you hear me?
Jay Griffin, if you can just mute video, that's fine.
These are hard times. I'm getting a lot of feedback. I'm getting a lot of feedback.
If you could pause the video, Mr. Griffin. If you could pause the video, please.
I'm trying to do that now.
Pause the YouTube video that you're watching. Pause the video, Mr. Griffin.
All right. The YouTube video.
Pause the video. There we go.
Okay. But
Yeah,
now
he muted himself.
he's muted, okay.
Yep, yes, sir.
Okay.
I'm just gonna put him on pause. We'll bring someone else on while they figure.
We'll get you right back on, Jay. Okay.
Anna Marie Perrier. Hope I didn't mess up your name. Sorry.
Anna Marie.
Can you hear us, ma'am?
Anna Marie. She's just.
Can you hear us? You're
Yes.
live.
Anna,
Okay.
yes, thank you.
Hi. So I have a question. I sent you a letter, Mayor Sarno, back in July. I don't know if you're forwarding those letters to Justice Ireland or not. And if there's any way we might be able to reach out to him directly. And then my second question is, what is the police department doing to get rid of or fire officers who've repeatedly violated people's civil rights? And if there's any way we might be able to reach out to him directly.
Could you repeat that, Anna Marie, again? We didn't hear the end part there.
The part about the officers who repeatedly violate individual civil rights.
Okay.
So for instance, you mentioned that, you would seek termination.
Anna Marie, you would have to pause your YouTube video. I'm thinking you're watching it live as you're speaking. You just need to pause that so we can hear you clearly.
So right now I'm in the Zoom meeting. The part about officers who violate, and we don't have Facebook up anymore, so I'm not quite sure.
Nope, pretty clearly.
So you said that you would seek termination of any police officer who is found to violate an individual's civil rights. But recently, Sergeant Sean Sullivan was promoted to sergeant back in 2018, even though he had previously been found guilty of violating a juvenile civil rights by trying to grab at him, causing the juvenile to jump out into the middle of traffic and get struck and killed by a vehicle. And he was promoted. I mean, there's a number of officers who have multiple internal affairs investigations that have been conducted against them. And the entire narcotics unit is, the DOJ report sort of outlines their misdeeds, yet I haven't heard that any one of those officers who was in the narcotics unit has been fired or disciplined in any way since that DOJ report came out. I haven't even heard if they've been transferred out of the narcotics unit despite being there when, during the DOJ investigation. So, while I think policy and procedure updates are important, body cameras are important, they are not the beginning and end to this conversation when you have a police department that is filled with individuals who have no problem saying pretty atrocious and racist things on camera without consequence. So I would like to forward my letter to the justice because I think it's important to outline the history, even during your tenure, regarding the police department and their misdeeds.
Thank you, Anna Marie. Mr. Griffin, Jay?
What's it? All right, where is it?
Jay's up in the corner.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right, Mr. Griffin, you are on live. You have to unmute from his side.
Thank you. Mr. Griffin, okay? Yes.
Yes.
You can hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. I just want to say that we're approaching and have been at hard times.
Mr. Griffin, you are on live.
Yes.
Unmute from his side.
Should I straighten up or? We are approaching hard times.
Yes.
But I feel
Yes.
that we have the folks in the right position. Looking at the consultant, Roger Godwin, that has wisdom and dealt with issues that were very serious. But the mayor has done some fantastic things, and he took this city from hardship, tax hardship, and we have respect. I'm looking at the leadership in Springfield. NAACP leader Swan has done a fantastic job. Justin Hurst has done a fantastic job with the city council. And my point is that we have the leadership that should be able to sit down and get together and bring us forward. We are not satisfied with the position that the police department is in right now, but with the knowledge that we have, we should be able to put together the policies and procedures that will make us a better city of homes. And I think that the underlying point should be that we're not trying to be just critics. We need to be contributors. We need to contribute to the development.
Mr. Griffin, we can barely hear you at this point.
I'm almost shouting right now.
Okay.
Thanks, Jay. Thank you, Jay. Stay well, Commissioner Griffin. Okay. Thank you. Who's next?
Joining us now is Janae McDonald.
Janae?
Hello? Oh, okay.
Janae, how are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation. I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
I'm able to start? Okay. I would like to know, what is the department's policy on approaching a home in search of a person, whether it's for an arrest, as a person of interest for a particular matter, or to serve papers? I would also like to know, what is the policy around verifying a person's address, and what is the policy for verification after a homeowner declares that they're at the wrong address or the wrong address has been approached? And what is the policy around the times of day that the department approaches homes in search of a person to serve papers? Unfortunately, my home was approached more than one time by the Springfield Police Department in search of someone that did not live there. The first time that they arrived, I informed them that person does not live here. They left. The second time that they arrived, it was different officers, so they were uniformed differently. They almost looked like they were part of a narcotics unit or something like that. They also arrived at 4:58 in the morning on a Saturday. They parked their vehicle up the street, so it was not an immediate view of the home. And they came back in search of an individual that I had already informed them does not live there. Fortunately enough, I didn't realize that the person that they were looking for must have either been a neighbor or someone within the vicinity. And that person, from what I can gather from the camera footage that I have, must have alerted them that they're who they're looking for. And it was then that I learned, they just said, oh, we have papers for you. So I just think, one, for the sake of senior citizens and just, my rightful enjoyment to peace and quiet of my home. And 4:58 in the morning, to not have your vehicle parked in front of my home and to have what seemed like members of a narcotics unit coming to serve papers is unreasonable. No reasonable person is going to answer their door, a mysterious knock before dawn. So I would just like to know, what is the policy around that?
I think the commissioner will get a hold of her, but the address comes from the court system. Jeanette.
And then what happens after, because I'm also a new homeowner, right? And so this is also for other folks who may have either changed their address or recently purchased a home. And so if a homeowner declares that that person does not live there, what is the next step that is taken? Is that relayed back to the court system? It appears that there was not even any communication from one shift to the next. It was almost as if the assignment was just handed over to the next shift and they just came back again, but each time it was escalated. The first time they came in the middle of the day, the next time they came before dawn, differently dressed officers. Again, the car was not in front of my home. So it was as if I was supposed to answer some mysterious knock at 4:58 in the AM. I can only imagine how would that disturb a senior citizen.
Thank you, Janae. We'll be follow up on that. I understand it's sensitive.
Okay, yeah, because I know I've contacted, or the commissioner has been contacted.
Yes.
The counselor that I contacted, and no one has said anything back.
You will be contacted, Janae.
Okay, thank you.
Want to discuss anything personally, you'll be contacted. Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it for guests. We have no one else in the waiting room waiting to ask a question or a comment.
Okay. I'd like to, I really appreciate, if there's no other comments, Judge Ireland really taking the time to be here. And again, we speak let me take my mask off. We speak all the time. And that's, he echoed my words of the old spaghetti westerns movies about the good, the bad, the ugly. And that's what Judge Ireland has done. And that's what I want for the city, for the residents, for our police department. And that's what he has continued to do. And we have made some progress, much more to be done. But I'd like to first turn it over to Judge Ireland for some closing remarks, and then we can go from there. I also want to thank all the people that participated. I understand we have a number of people that are viewing this and watching this. We're going to continue to do these listening sessions, outreach sessions. As Commissioner Clapper said, knock on wood, and my Dr. Anthony Fauci, Helen Colton Harris, I can't wait, and we will defeat this COVID-19, because we'd like to be out amongst the community and be more face-to-face. This technology is sometimes it's very good at times, sometimes it can be very challenging. But with that, let me turn it over to Justice Ireland, please.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And I want to thank everyone who participated. I took notes as I saw all the other folks who were there at City Hall were taking notes. I thought that this was a great first conversation. There were a number of questions that were raised. We're going to look into them. We're going to follow up on them. And hopefully we will give feedback to people after we have collected the information and tried to get answers. I understand people want to know specifics. They want to know, well, exactly what are you doing to address the Department of Justice report and its conclusions? And we're going to try to respond to that. I think the big picture is we're trying to go forward and trying to come up with the best police department that we can come up with. And we know that there have been issues in the past. We're going to try to address them. But I want to thank everyone. I hope that in our next conversation, we can report back that here's what was raised in our first session, and here are some of the answers. But I want to thank everyone for who joined us today for participating. And I want to say that we're going to do the best we can to respond to the things that have been raised in a positive way. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. Any closing statements?
I'd like to thank everybody for your participation. I have copied everything down, and those that I can follow up with, I will, and those that I can't, I'll find out why I can't. Everybody deserves answers, so we'll work towards that end. Thank you, Judge, for being here. Everybody for participating, and Mayor, thank you for letting me join in on this.
Thank you. I want to thank Focus Springfield, D. Moss, and my internal team for putting this together. And I want to thank you, the residents of the community. I want to thank our police department, everybody involved. We have to continue to work together to enhance and strengthen our police-community relationships. We've already made some moves on reforms. We're going to continue to do that. There's much more to be done, but we want to be the best police department possible for you. So your ideas, your thoughts, your constructive criticism will be well taken by myself and Commissioner Clapprood and the Civilian Community Police Hearing Board members and all of my administration as we move forward. I'm all about unity. I'm all about mutual respect, and I'm all about moving our city forward. 2020 has been a very challenging time with the COVID-19, the social unrest, other things that have been put before us. But 2021 is right around the corner, and we are committed to systemic change overall with our Office of Racial Equity and moving forward, that everybody is able to work together to make a better city of Springfield. So with that, I wish everybody a good weekend and good health. Oh, I did thank you. Yeah, I did thank the CPHP. Thank you, Attorney G. All right, I think we're all set. Thank you. Good health and God bless.
All right, thanks.